Hey there, welcome to another episode of Blake's Everyday Podcast. I hope everybody had a great Sunday. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day. No work tomorrow, at least for, I'm guessing, a majority of us. Last night we finished Ruth, so tonight we start on First Samuel. It's exciting. Just taking a look how far we're gonna get. We're gonna shoot for 2 chapters. Chapter 1 seems decently long. Chapter 2 isn't terribly long. We had a little bit of the sniffles, so hopefully that won't get in the way of reading. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and blow my nose, see if that'll help. All right, let's get this party started. So, like I was saying, First Samuel. I hope everybody had a good Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. Most of us don't have work. Maybe you do work. I don't know. If you do work, sorry, it stinks. Shout out to all of our veterans out there serving overseas. We love you guys. And, yeah. We had a great service at our church today. We really got to, I don't know, it was just really, the title of the message today of the sermon was called All In. And it was basically just talking about, how you need to, we all should be all in with Jesus Christ, instead of coming up with excuses to do things before you start to follow him. Because you're never going to be, there's other ways of following, and, Jesus wants you to be all in and just jump and start to follow, not he gave a good story and stuff, and it was like, oh man, that just hit home. It was great. Kind of made me have a little bit of guilt, a little bit, but hey, I mean, if you're not learning at church, then guilt means that you're learning, right? You're learning about yourself. You're finding yourself with Christ, and you're gonna feel guilty, and those are the best sermons. When you feel guilty about yourself a little bit, you feel guilty of your sin, but you're not supposed to leave church feeling great every Sunday, unless no, never mind. So the title for chapter 1 is The Birth of Samuel. There was a certain man from Ramathaim, a Zephite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. One was called Hannah, and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the 2 sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of the meat to his wife Peninnah, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, and the Lord had closed her womb. Because the Lord had closed with Hannah's womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her till she wept and would not eat. Her husband Elkanah would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? Once, when they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on his chair by the door post of the Lord's house. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly, and she made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. As she kept on praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk, and said to her, How long are you going to stay drunk? Put away your wine. Not so, my lord, Hannah replied. I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. Eli answered, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked for of him. She said, May your servant find favor in your eyes. Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Early the next morning they arose and worshipped before the Lord, and then went back to their home at Ramah. Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, Because I asked the Lord for him. When her husband Elkanah went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow, Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always. Do what seems best to you, her husband Elkanah told her. Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word. So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. After he was weaned, she took the boy with her, young as he was, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli, and she said to him, Pardon me, my lord. As surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. Okay. I really like that. I really like that chapter. That's really cool. So, chapter 1, verses 1 through 8. In ancient times, much of a woman's self-worth was built upon her ability to bear children. So Hannah's childless state brought her a great deal of pain. To make matters worse, Elkanah's second wife, Peninnah, ridiculed Hannah for her infertility. Certainly Hannah had tried everything humanly possible to become pregnant. She was at the end of her rope, helpless to change her situation. She was unable to see that a fulfilling life could be found without children. Her husband, Elkanah, tried to intervene, reminding Hannah of his unconditional love for her. But Hannah was unable to accept his comfort. Hannah needed to seek God with a whole heart and surrender herself, including her desire for a son, to him. Chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. Jeez. In these verses, we read of the beautiful prayer Hannah uttered through her tears. She had carried her shame and grief for years, and now she released them to God. In faith, she sought God and surrendered to him. She not only committed her infertility to God, but she also vowed to surrender to God's service the son he may choose to give her. Whatever grief and sorrows we carry should be released to God. As we commit ourselves and even our inabilities to God, he can begin to begin a process of spiritual renewal that can have far-reaching influence for God's kingdom. Like Hannah, we all need to release our grief to God and release control of our lives to him as well. Golly. Chapter 1, verses 12 through 18. Hannah's prayer was misunderstood by Eli the priest, who assumed she was drunk. In reality, she was seeking God and surrendering her infertility to him. Sadly, attempts towards spiritual growth can be misinterpreted, and the insensitive responses we experience can be disheartening. To her credit, Hannah persevered despite the criticism she experienced. Eli soon recognized Hannah's integrity and encouraged her in her prayer. No matter what discouragement we may face, we must persevere. God will support us even if the people around us do not. I like that. When my wife started going to church and I wasn't going to church, I ridiculed it. I didn't think that there was a good church out there. I was so hell-bent on there just being no good church, and every pastor's just there to make a dollar, and this and that, and goodness gracious, I was so bad. I was so bad. I'll have to bring my wife, on one of these episodes sometime just to tell you how bad I really was. I was so godless. Even though I believed in God, I was so godless. And she persevered, which is awesome. And her perseverance influenced me. And that also influenced my father. That also, the influence just continues going. It's just like it's a spreading of greatness. It's beautiful. It's crazy. It's so awesome how that works. It really is. And even though when I did start going, I wasn't fully in depth with my heart with God, I still, even though I was going there and it was the fact that I was going in there, and then I started, at first I was sitting in the back of the room, not really paying attention. I was just watching our kids, and I was watching our son Weston, because he was just a little guy at that time. And then, slowly but surely, we put Weston in his classroom, which I was so against. I didn't want to put Weston in his classroom. And that was literally the devil talking, because once I did that and I started hearing the messages, I started connecting, and I started really getting into it. And after I got getting into it, I started making friends, and I started understanding a little bit more, and I stop judging. I even as I was going to church, I was still saying GD all the time, and I eventually stopped that. I stopped watching terrible TV shows, which every once in a while I'll accidentally flip one on, and then I'll be like, "Oh, what the heck, man!" I'll forget how bad it was, and then like, what in the world? I did it even last night. Um, I used to be like the biggest fan of that show Archer, which, if you don't know, Archer's about basically like a spy, like an agent, and he's, he, his wicked ways, you see him now in the show, and you think, wow, that guy's terrible. But, you know, back in the day, I thought he was kind of a bad, like a cool character, which probably influenced me a little bit. But I turned it on last night, not thinking anything of it, and I mean, GD, one episode had said it probably 5 times. I was like, what the heck? And it's a 23-minute episode, it's not like a long episode, so it doesn't make any sense. You could even say that that's just as bad as South Park, and South Park's really bad. Granted, South Park makes fun of our religion. Archer doesn't necessarily, at least I don't think. It might. But it's just crazy. Chapter 1, verses 19 through 20. Samuel's birth shows us that God is a listening God. He solved Hannah's crisis by giving her a son. The boy's name, Samuel, means heard by God. This would have been a constant reminder that God heard Hannah's cries and then answered. We can be confident that when we petition God according to His will, He hears us too, and no problem is ever too big for Him to solve. Chapter 1, verses 24 through 28. The time came for Hannah to fulfill her vow to God. The process of letting go of her little son certainly must have been painful, but Hannah recognized her accountability to God and unselfishly fulfilled her promise by releasing her much-loved son into His service. Her choice reflected her gratitude and her confidence in God, who had given Samuel to her in the first place. When we make commitments to God and others, we need to follow through on them. If we do, no matter how hard it may be, God will help us and bless our efforts. After Hannah gave up Samuel to God's service, God blessed her with additional children. Well, see, we didn't hear about that part yet. I think we're gonna cut it off there. I'd love to read chapter 2, but you kind of get an idea of, like, right now, for example, we just had a great talk, had a great point. It was a good talk. It was a good little reading. We're already 19 minutes in. Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better video. Honestly. We read one more chapter, I'm going to be falling asleep, probably. Just constantly yawning. My words aren't going to be as good. Yeah, I think we end it here. We'll read chapter 2 tomorrow, and yeah, but let's go ahead and finish with prayer. Dear God, we come to you tonight, Lord, and I just pray personally that if there's anywhere else or anything that you're wanting me to do differently in my life. This is deep, but I hope you show me. I want you to show me what you are wanting me to do, Lord. Show me. Give me a vision, Lord. Send me a message, Lord. Give me something. That way I can see what you are calling me to do, Lord. I want to follow you, Lord. I want to follow you. Dear God, I just hope that tonight's message might have reached somebody else, somebody new that might not have heard about the book, well, heard about your great words, Lord, and your wisdom, and seen the greatness that you can do. I hope that they see this video, and I hope they can find the greatness in you, Lord, and really persevere to learn more about you, no matter what kind of discouragement comes their way. Dear God, I just pray for the safety of my children and the health of my children and my wife and myself, especially as I seek your message, Lord, and I want to learn, Lord, and I just pray that you keep me rolling, keep me going, Lord, keep me walking down this path, keep my family walking down this path. I know I'm the leader of this family, and give me the strength to continue to push them towards the greatness of you, Lord. And I want to keep them directed towards you, Lord. I don't want them turning away from you ever, Lord. I just pray that you give me the strength and the courage to continue to push my family towards bigger and better heights, following you, Lord. In God's name, amen. I feel like that was a good prayer. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. I'm really seeking his message. My pastor always says, careful what you wish for. Well, be careful what you pray for, because who knows what God's will is. But once you know, you got to do it. You better do it. It's God's will. But I hope everybody has a great rest of your night. Tomorrow's Monday. We have tomorrow off. Maybe we'll have, I was about to say maybe we'll have Tuesday off too. No, we'll have work Tuesday, unfortunately, but we can always wish, right? But I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Good night.